Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy WideShoes coming in with another basketball shoe review. Today, we're going to be reviewing the $120 Anthony Edward ones coming from Adidas. All right, now before we get into the actual review, I just wanted to give you guys a quick heads up. I did make a community post about this. I am going through quite a stressful time. Me and my wife are currently moving, and sometime in the next 3 to 4 months, we will be fully moved out. So just due to how stressful that process was, I did not get enough B-roll for this review, but I promise you guys, I wore this shoe a lot. I've been playing basketball actually the most I ever have. It just was really hard to find time for me and my wife to film. She is my camera woman. So anyways, that's just a little bit warning. I'm going to try to get more footage in for future videos, but this is going to be a little bit lackluster in terms of the amount of footage I have. So please be a little bit generous to me just this once. And yeah, let's just get right into the video. All right, before we address any elements of the shoe, I need to address the fit. This is a 10.5 shoe, and oh my goodness, this is the largest 10.5 shoe I have ever put on my feet. If you guys don't know, my feet run extremely long in the toe box and also run fairly short. So in Adidas, I've always worn a 10.5. In crossover culture and Nike, I have worn an 11. But in serious player only and wave weight, I also wear a 10.5. So usually I'm almost always a 10.5. And in some cases, I'm an 11. These 10.5s are just too big everywhere. And I've never had that problem in a shoe ever. So my toe box is extremely big. I do not have high volume feet. I have kind of really high arches, a slightly skinnier, like midfoot closer to the heel is skinnier. So for me, my wide feet come from my toes just really stretching out. I've seen some really high volume shoe reviewers say that you can go true to size, but I kind of disagree. I think almost everyone needs to go down half a size. These shoes are unfortunately really hard to get, so I will be docking points in my final score on these because of the size, but in the lack of ability to get the shoe, like if you could just order 2 of these easily, I'd say, hey, just get a 10 and a 10.5 and try them both on and then send one back. But you can't really do that because these shoes are still hard to get, and I'm one of the last people to review them. So overall, just to reiterate, I think everyone needs to go down half a size. I found that this shoe also runs a little bit long. I have a full thumbs width, like about this much space of where my toes just have extra space. And if I could go back again, I would definitely have bought them half a size smaller. I have no areas in this shoe where it feels tight or constrictive on my foot. And I am also lacing these all the way as much as I can at the bottom. And yeah, that's just something that you need to be aware of. These shoes are massive. All right, now we're going to be moving into the cushioning for the shoe. Now the cushioning does get a lot better than the fit. The cushioning uses Jet Boost and Light Strike. There is also 2 shank plates in this shoe, but really that doesn't matter because this shoe does not feel like it uses Jet Boost and it does not feel like Light Strike, but that is actually a compliment. This shoe is very squishy. Like you do get a bit of bounce in them. It's also very dense and it has a really good energy return system. Now this shoe is quite stiff. It does feel something similar to the Luka 2s from Nike, but these are much lower to the ground. So overall, the cushioning in these using Jet Boost and Light Strike, it's very unique, and I would kind of just disregard the tech specs. I really like this because the cushioning also, or the inside of the shoe, does mold to your foot over time, and I just felt very, I guess, springy in these, and I felt kind of bouncy in these, despite the shoe being very flat and very stable, and still having good lockdown despite being very large, like I reiterated before. All right, so before I forget, I also wanted to say that this shoe is very bottom heavy. I feel like the kind of weight distribution on this shoe is very much in the heel. That kind of made it feel like there was a heel to toe drop in the shoe, even though there's not. This shoe is extremely flat, and I personally like flat shoes, but the shoe is a little bit clunky. I would have liked to see a little bit smoother of a heel to toe transition on these. I think if you're a heavier player who has kind of clunky feet, you'd actually really like these shoes, but I felt quite muddy in these. I did feel pretty weighed down in these, and I just felt a little bit sore because that clunkiness does make the heel to toe transition and impact protection very low. So when I was playing in these, I was kind of like click clunk, click clunk, click clunk, and my knees and my hips really hurt playing indoor or outdoor after playing in these. I did not play in these for more than an hour at a time. It is just a little bit disappointing, but again, if you are a heavier player, if you already have kind of a heavy step, and are not someone who's rapidly making quick cuts or doing like if you have good footwork or you're a big man, you'll really like that bouncy, well cushioned aspect. But again, if you're trying to make cuts and turns in these, it's just a little bit punishing to have this kind of a setup. All right, now let's move into the materials and durability of the shoe. Before I address that fully, I just want to say that for $120, the multiple amounts of materials used and the uniqueness of this shoe, it's a really good deal. I mean, for 120 bucks, like I feel like some other companies would sell this for 150 and I would still say, yeah, it feels like a $150 shoe. So for $120, this is really good for the price. That being said, I do have issues here. The first being this tongue. It is gusseted, which I really like. And there is an elastic strap. I'm probably gonna have to use B-roll to show you guys that. There's an elastic strap in the shoe that holds the tongue in place, and that feels really nice. But because this tongue is so skinny and these laces are just awful, it does cut into your foot, and it really dug into me, especially this kind of flimsy, rough cloth material here. I think the low versions will be better, but this really ate at my ankles. Like I really felt this when I played, and I was getting really a lot of constriction, especially on the veins of my foot from these laces. And these laces, when they heat up, they expand and they either untie or you have to tie the shoe tighter because the lacing, like the shoe heats up, especially with kind of some people complaining about toe pinching from the bending of this shoe, which is just something that's unavoidable. If that happens because of your foot shape, this material is just going to always remember that pattern. But yeah, overall, the tongue, it's too thin. The laces heat up over time and expand, and that can make the shoe untie itself, or you have to tie it tighter. And yeah, overall though, they feel really quality in the hand. They are durable. The traction pattern here is not the most durable though. I played outdoors with these 2 times and already had some fraying, but overall, I think for $120, this is a good deal. All right, let's just briefly touch on the stability and lockdown. So there is quite a bit of a flange here. I believe that's what it's called when you have this S curve. I did not have any ankle rolls with this shape. I felt really good. I felt really well laterally contained, making any movement. These shoes did not feel like ankle busters at all, and I felt really secured in them. Like the lacing system and this kind of I guess trypophobia hard outsole, like it really does keep your foot locked down well. But I have seen quite a bit of reviewers say that on lateral cuts they felt unstable, and I did see Anthony Edwards, a clip of him in a game. No one was around him. He didn't trip, but he did kind of just step into this curve and he did roll his ankle. He got back up, but that could have been really bad. So I think that if you have ever had a shoe before where you felt laterally, like on the outside, you could just kind of turn one way and flip, because I've had that issues with some shoes, then I would maybe just say proceed with caution when buying these. All right, let's move now into the traction. Now, the traction is very good when you're playing on a clean court. The only major weakness of this traction is that it is not very durable, especially if you play outdoors. And on top of that, it collects dust quite a bit. Like for me, it's easy for me to wipe this shoe, and wiping just one time does make the shoe good. But I was wiping my shoe like every change of possession. I just felt like I was collecting dust like crazy in these. And I never slipped out, but every time I got the chance to, I'd wipe my shoe, and it just kind of got annoying. Like I did notice that, and even when the shoe heated up, even when I broke the traction in, this persisted the whole time. So ever since I've had these shoes, they have been dust bunnies. I think that every shoe has translucent traction as well, so this is a problem you'll see with every shoe. But in terms of the actual performance, I would just say it's slightly above average traction. Like it got the job done when I wasn't full of dust, any move I wanted to without having to think about traction or think about sliding out. So overall, the traction is pretty good despite those issues. All right, so let's talk about some of the things that I forgot to mention. I just want to reiterate, these are very heavy shoes. It's about 540 grams for a size 10.5 in US men's. Additionally, this shoe, the weight distribution is not very even, so that kind of adds to the clunkiness. Also, I just kind of want to tell you guys for my overall thoughts, I'm going to give these an 81 out of 100. I know a lot of you may think that's too low, but I think this is a very unique shoe. I think for $120, it's a great deal. And I think if it was just executed a little bit better, this would have been my favorite shoes of the year. I also think that when the low top comes and removes this extra material here that's jagged, I will have a lot happier ankles because, again, this material really cut into my ankles while I wore them. So I think if you're a larger player, if you're someone who doesn't really move extremely quick, but you have kind of heavy feet already, these will protect you. These will support you. And if you have a lot of issues with rolling your ankles, I personally still think these are a safe and good buy. So overall, I'm just a little bit disappointed in the AE1s. I think that most of you should probably pass on them. But if you really like that springboard effect, something kind of similar to the Luka 2s, then these are a great option. And thank you guys so much for supporting me, for continuing to watch my videos. And I will see you guys again in the next video.